Day 2 of the four-man bobsleigh season. The BMW IBSF World Cup has kicked off with a double-header weekend in Park City, Utah. Yesterday, in the teeth of a snowstorm. Today, it is cool, calm, cold, and clear. And stunning views. Hello everybody, thanks for joining us for this final run of the weekend. Martin Avon and John Morgan at the 2002 Winter Olympic track. And John, what a race.
Hey, Chris Sprangy, bronze medal last night. His team's got great starts, and the Springer, he looks pretty poised to get on the podium again tonight. The four-man for the Canadians, all three Canadian sleds, they're flying top 5 last night. And his teammate Justin Cripps not far behind him here. Second place, well, this young American, Cody Basque, had the third best time of the second heat last night, ended up 7th. And here, he went down early, did not have a clean run down, but Basque, decent start time by his team, and he's got his American sled in that position to medal. He's in second, but the story of the night, Brad Hall, Great Britain #1. Great starts. They were the first guys off the hill, and we've seen a big advantage for that. But with what the British bobsled athletes have been through so far this year, I'm rooting for the British team. These athletes deserve a great placing. They almost had it last night with Lamondine. They've had a lot of hard luck, a lot of misfortune so far for the British program.
Well, there is what he's facing, a tight battle. 2600ths, quarter of a second to the tie for 6. Justin Cripps, last night's silver medalist, and Oscars Melbardis. They could all be in the medals. Nick Polonyato, 6 last night, his best career result, could move up. But some of the stories are below the top 20. Max Anjanov misses the cut. So does Beat Hefty. Rico Peter has never been cut in a four-man race before this. He was 23rd of 24 sleds.
No Swiss sled in the top 20. Before we were born, maybe.
Unbelievable. Well, there you go. And certainly no British four-man win in my time in this century as a commentator.
Strange things happening here in the Wasatch Mountains.
Well, it would be a great boost for Team Great Britain. And no question at all about it. They've worked really hard on all aspects of the game. So they still feel that they are underdogs. There's not Nick Polonyato for Canada. 3 Canadian sleds are really rocking it here, aren't they? And we go to Whistler next weekend. There's Derek Plug there, will be on home ice. Lots of support, of course, for the American sleds here as well in the 2002 Winter Olympic venue. Justin Olsen will be the first man off the hill, 20th in the first heat. He was the last to go after an unfortunate technical problem with the sled last night caused him to be disqualified. Simone Patazzo made the cut by the skin of his teeth as well, and he goes second. Oscars Kibermanis and so on down. Lamondine was in 3rd place after the first heat yesterday. He goes off from 8th place in this heat, and his teammate Brad Hall will go last as the first round leader.
Biggest heat of Justin Olsen's young driving career here. He went off last because he was disqualified last night. His team posted the best start in the first heat. He could move up 7-8 places here, and this has a lot to do whether or not the United States is going to qualify 3 sleds for the Olympic Games. Only 200 from the start record. That's 17 years old. 474 the first run. 478. Conservatively, he drifted out of curve 1.
Well, the least experienced of the 3 American drivers, but he's got that power pack. Those 3 fastest starters are behind him.
The least experienced of anybody in the field. He might only have 50, 55 four-man trips in his career.
Well, he and race leader Brad Hall started at the same time. They're on the same part of that development curve, aren't they?
Brand new sled. It's got a mixture of Bodine, BMW, got some German technology in it, but the sled was disqualified last night for a technicality. American coaches weren't very happy. But Olsen posts a great time here. He can move up 6-7 spots to get himself closer to challenging the Russians, who their 3rd sled did not qualify for the second run tonight. 48.07.
700ths of a second slower than the first heat. The evening is getting colder. The track should be harder and faster. There's Sepp Plotzer in the red cap.
207th sled down in 2 days. Yeah. In Europe, there's 3-day competitions. Heavy emphasis on the track conditions here in North America, where they have all these sleds coming down in 2 days. And yesterday, raining in the morning, snowing in the afternoon. It's been helter-skelter here on this track. Little tap up top here, curve 1 to 2, hugging the wall in the graveyard section. but again, the least experienced driver in the field, driving a brand new piece of equipment. Let's see how much time he spends here in the leader's box.
Evan Weinstock behind him there as they walk into the leader's box. That was Chris Folk.
Yeah.
Next up is Simone Bertazzo, the senior of the two Italian pilots, now 34 years old. He's happily admitted this will be his last season. Giovanni Mussalo there with the beard, former skeleton slider, moved over to bobsled 3 years ago, and he subbed in on the back of the sled, swapped out one of the brakemen that was in last night's four-man crew.
One of the greatest nations in the sport of bobsledding, falling on tough times.
Great Britain? Oh, Italy, right, gotcha.
This is a proud nation. Just don't have, they have the equipment, just don't have the starts. 5:08, 5:07 in the first run. And, you know, he's a great driver. World Championship medal in 2007 in St. Moritz in the two-man competition. Won numerous races in 2 and 4 on his home track in Torino. Sestriere now closed. And just like the Italian program, the women's program, the best skeleton guy, Matt Gaspari, has torn up his knee. He's not going to be around.
And Simone is desperately trying to keep them with the World Cup slot in respectable condition so he can pass the baton on to Patrick Baumgartner, the youth Olympic champion, who's their development driver.
His father, Joey, used to slide for the Italians when they were efficient in the sport in the 70s and 80s. 48.54.
So he slips behind Olsen.
He's a half-second slower.
Yeah. Olsen holds the lead.
He went second. Olsen went 24th. A lot to do with fresh ice. We saw that track fall apart after 6 or 8 sleds. But again, 180, 200 sleds been down in 2 days, and we had horrific weather yesterday. It makes it difficult for the guys that are ice meisters to shape the track.
Well, the fact that we got any racing at all is a bonus for them.
This is a little early.
Yeah, big hit.
Yeah, this is, look at the climbs. It's on the Olympic curve, 82, 83 miles an hour.
Oskars Kiebermanis of Latvia next up, third of our 20 sleds in this second day of racing in a four-man competition. 200ths of a second ahead of Simone Bertazzo, only 500ths ahead in the first heat of the current race leader, Justin Olsen. So this is another potential scalp for Olsen to pick off, because these guys barely outstarted the Italians. 496, 22nd
Something wrong
at the
here.
start.
This is one of the best starting teams.
That almost sounds,
competition.
It's almost like the driver was sitting in. Now, one of the Latvian drivers did sit in training for a couple of runs. I think it might have been Kiebermanis.
Might have been. Look how early he's in.
Yeah.
Now this team right here got third in the pre-Olympic test in Pyeongchang last March. And here he is back in 18th place. Nope, there's definitely some injuries in this team.
Pretty sure I saw him sitting in one of the training runs right at the start.
Well, he jogged about 7 steps.
Yeah.
2700ths. That should go back to 30 or so, and they might neutralize it from there.
Nice.
No, he's coming back.
Nice clean run
Olsen
so
wasn't
far.
clean down here. 8, he might catch him. Wow. I thought Olsen would be living in that leader's box a long time. But Kiebermanis caught him.
He's in the green. Can he hold on uphill to the line? He does.
48.01. So he bested Olsen for 2 weeks by 11 hundredths. So look at the speed difference. A mile and a half better than Olsen at the speed part of the track. Look at him get out 10 very gingerly.
Not what you want coming into an Olympic season.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, he's in way early. He takes 4 or 5 more steps. This is a guy who starts high 70s. Again, 3rd place at the Olympic test last year. It wasn't because he had a bad start.
Yeah, don't get that jogging off. Well, he's still smiling there, Oskars Kiebermanis. Bantering with a Latvian fan, but hasn't got the horses he needs. What about Benny Meyer of Austria? Okay. The proud sledding nation of Switzerland didn't make the cut. Benny Meyer did. He was only, was he 19th last night in the race? He's 16th here, tied with Nick Cunningham and Oskars Kiebermanis, who currently holds the lead.
And Stromev, the Russians, only 100th in front of them. The persona of this Park City track, every 100th of a second counts. four-man bobsled start choreography on ice, because you have to get down with proficiency, especially here at the top of this track, which is so fast. It puts a mandate on quiet steering at the top of the track. And Meyer, as we know, is a good pilot. Just, we haven't seen any results yet in this early part of the season. But, like I've been saying, you don't want to win in November. You want to win in February. Got a 17. He's probably going to come back. He's going to be close. Jimenez flew, got a 10. No mistakes now. The graveyard section, uphill. TV doesn't do this justice. Oh, red numbers. Is Olsen going to catch him? No. He gets ahead of Olsen by 0.02 of a second. It's Manfred Mayer on the right. Then his father, head of the Austrian Bob and Skeleton program.
Puffing and blowing here, 7,000 feet above sea level. This is the highest bob track in the world, 2,200 meters above sea level.
Couple hundredths. Olsen lost out here by 300ths to the Austrian sled. Little drift, but not a bad change of direction there at all.
So Oskars Kiebermanis breaks that three-way tie ahead of Benny Meyer and Justin Olsen. They're the 1, 2, 3. Nick Cunningham next up was tied with Meyer and Kiebermanis to the 100th of a second. From 15th down to 19th, just 300ths covered 6 sleds.
Well, Olsen's driving a brand new hybrid sled. Baskew's driving the Night Train 2 from Steve Holcomb era sled from 2014. This one here, there's our leaders. This sled here is probably 10 years old. Might be one of the oldest sleds in the competition. Been rebuilt many times. Started off as a Bodine. These guys are getting good starts. 8th best start in the first run, but yesterday, 3rd in both heats. Hope they don't run too far. In and down with a little variation there. 484.
Not a bad starting crew in the US lineup.
200 slower than their first heat. Ooh, and I hear a tap.
Big high.
Yeah, we're at a tap, 2 to 3.
Well, this has been his nemesis all the way through.
There too.
3 to 4, he's just not got right at all.
Pretty good in the second run yesterday. Terrible in the first run yesterday and today. Not terrible, but
2300s up, down to a 1/10 of a second over Kiebermanis, and if that trend continues, he'll be behind at the line.
Yeah,
400.
he's going to be behind. The question is, how many spots is he going to fall? Ooh, that ran quick. Well, 4th best time of the run, and he falls behind his teammate. Stays ahead of Bertazzo, so also picks off his teammate. And
Kiebermanis, the Latvians, have picked off 2 sleds, and they're still in the position they were 2 sleds ago. There's still 15 to come, so they're still only 16th. They were tied in a 3-way split for 16. So you've got to beat 2 just to stay still. Cunningham doesn't. He drops 4th at the moment.
This little bit of a skid there. It's in the top of the track, 5, 6, 7 combination. And a little back end skid there. Home track.
That sucks, man.
I suck. I heard you just said.
Well, there's Cody's crew offering their commiserations as Oskars Kiebermanis leads 5 down, 15 to go. Top 15, second 4-man bobsleigh race at the BMW IBSF World Cup. We're in Park City, Utah. Alexei Stulnev goes through his pre-race prep. Martin Abel and John Morgan watching the action with you.
Well, this is pretty close. Russian has to be aware of where he finishes. .485. See these in and down. Ooh, there's a big little skid. 487. Start speed 59.4. That's not the 60 speed we saw out of Olsen. Anybody, that's good start, good entry into that sled. After that first curve, 100 meters, that's the most important part of your start, is after you get in the sled, get around that first curve without wavering, accelerate.
100th quicker than current leader Oskars Kiebermanis in the first heat.
Still 100, that's a good sign for the Russians.
Yeah, he's come from 1300s in front. He's going behind.
Ooh, that's a lot of time back.
And this is a wild ride. Look how high he's riding these turns. Wild lines. He hasn't got the control he needs.
Yeah, he falls behind Olsen too, and Cunningham. Both U.S. sleds will move up, and the Russians. There's a race within a race.
Don't
the
forget.
top 3 countries in World Cup points get to send 3 sleds to the games. And the USA, with that disqualification last night, right now would have been Canada, Russia, and Germany sending 3 sleds to the games.
4 sleds were covered by 100th. He's dropped behind all of them. 14 sleds to go. Oskars Kiebermanis finally starts to move up the order from the 3-way tie for 16th. He leads and will be no worse than 15th as Alexei Stulnev slips to 5th place. So might be no better than 19th. Loïc Kosteg, 14th position here. The Frenchman was 5th out of the start shed in this first heat, finished in 17th spot last night. A little bit of an improvement for him.
Coach, there's the coach behind him, Bruno Mangeon, on the right side of your screen. Bronze medalist for France at the 98 games in Nagano, and his brakeman right there on the left, Max. Max Robert was on the back of that sled, and then the next year those 2 went out with another 2 guys and won the World Championships. France's most successful time ever in the history of the sport, and the sled is designed and built by Mangeon. So we know it's got good aerodynamics. And Kosteg is a pretty good driver, and this track has a lot of similarities to his home track, Le Plan, France, the site of the 92 Olympic Games. Skid. Entrance here, not bad. 15 down to 8. I don't know if he's going to hold on, but he's not going to drop too many places unless, he's down to 2. Well, he's going to drop at least 1. And graveyard here. Whoa, look at the brakeman came up. Ooh. Brakeman thought it was in the finish line. 14 back, 5, so he falls behind both U.S. Look at the coaches, look like deer in headlights there. Yeah. The brakeman thought it was, he almost put the brakes on. So there's some inexperience there.
It's only Kosteg's 3rd race weekend here, his 4th race. In fact, his...
Don't think that helmet coming up doesn't deal with hundredths of seconds. Yeah. He lost by 300ths. This isn't it. This wasn't bad, but down there in that graveyard section is where the... Right here, watch the brakeman's head come up. Hello? No, it's not time to put the brakes on yet. So that... He lost by 300ths, 3 places. That could have been it right there.
Yeah. 1400ths off the lead, held by Oskars Kiebermanis. 13 sleds to go. Yoon Jong-won next for Korea. Sun Bin-young, his compatriot, blew the field away. Beat Martins Dukurs in the men's skeleton race into 2nd place by 61 hundredths of a second. I can't confirm it, but I can't imagine Martins has ever been beaten by more. Pretty much
maybe when he started. Maybe when he started.
Yeah, maybe so. Yoon Jong-won anyway, get back to the point, and he is in 13th spot, and his first round advantage 17 hundredths over Kiebermanis.
Yeah, none of these Koreans lack for any quad design, that's for sure. 488, pretty similar to what they did in the first round, 44 in the first run. So let's look at the lines, quiet there.
We're still 11 hundredths off our fastest starters in the first heat, so it's not where they need to be.
Lost a lot of time, and he's got a huge lead. There's no way he can throw away 3500s.
Uh-oh.
Commentator Jinx?
Yeah, you've been doing it all weekend. 3500s is a big lead,
yeah,
29.
He's lost a little bit, so he's going to be the leader.
He had no way. 17 from the first heat, so he's holding on to that.
Holding on to that. So you expect this out of him. He's medaled before, 4-man. More proficient in the 2-man competition. So they're down, he lost, got it down to 12, so the Latvians look on and they know, hey, sayonara. Pierre Luder's to the left, good stuff, he says.
Yeah, Kiebermanis was faster, 48.01, but not fast enough in the first heat. So he loses on total time. Yoon Jong-won has the lead with a
good run.
Dozen sleds to come. 48.06 compared to 47.78 in the first heat. So getting on for 0.3 of a second slower.
Now the track will start to slow down.
Well, you see them steaming like racehorses. The outside temperature is plunging.
Look at the quads of these guys. Think there's any time in the weight room? They weren't born like that, these people.
Fantastic.
Those guys have been in the weight room a little bit.
Yoon Jung-won of Korea is our leader. Alexander Kazyanov, who won the first of double races here 2 seasons ago when we last came to Park City. Had a bit of an off night last night. Let's see if he can fire something up here. Tied for 11th place with Ivo de Bruin of the Netherlands.
There's the clock. It's been a little disappointing for the Russian bobsled team. The Russian women won the skeleton event earlier today, shattered the track record at the start.
Bobsled women, though, didn't fare too well for Russia. They were right at the tail of the field.
And this is the last time we were here in January 2016. This guy won one of the 2 4-man races. And oh, there's a skid into that first curve.
If he hasn't done that every run, he's done it almost every run. Him and Stulnev.
He's already in red numbers. I don't know, man. You know, this is won the pre-Olympic test in Korea last year, which is a jinx. We've had 16 pre-Olympic tests, 2-man and 4-man, since the World Cup in '87. Only one of the 16 have ever gone on to win the Olympic gold medal. So, if you believe in jinxes, that one I would believe in.
Yoon Jung-won was only 100 slower in the first heat. The gap is 700s.
This looks like he's going to fall behind.
A little high again.
Not what the Russians want. Not a good weekend for the Russians here.
Not so far.
Other than Olsen being disqualified, there's Zubkov, the double gold medalist from Sochi, and him and his team have some work to do.
Yeah.
Pretty much the intact, no new faces in the Russian program. Pretty intact athletes, all 3 sleds.
Well, Yevgeny Popov won here with Dmitry Stepushkin and Dmitry Chunenkov behind him. They were still competing with Alexander Zubkov 8 years later, so the Russians like to keep men on the program.
Let's watch him go into the first curve. Is there a little skid here on the entry? Boy, they ran a long ways. The brakeman especially. Look at the skid. Look at that. That doesn't take much to figure out. That's not the way to do it. They ran too far.
Kazyanov not looking overjoyed, is he? Yoon Jung-won leads. We still have this 11th place tie to split, and this is a great opportunity for Ivo de Bruin of the Netherlands to try and hold on to a big points score.
We aren't supposed to root for anybody here in our position, but
well, we
the British and the Dutch, we got to root for the Dutch here. He needs the Dutch Olympics qualification standards are outrageous.
They need like an 8th place finish in a World Cup race or something. Well, 8th place.
This would be great for confidence. They've had decent starts.
8th place was only 0.08 of a second away in the first heat from him. Nice load.
487, great start. Let's see how quiet it is. Look at the front of the sled here. Quiet, not bad. Does he get through 3 to 4? Yes.
Okay, Ivo, this is just a training run. No pressure. Just let it fly.
Those numbers. He went early. Ooh, not bad. 67. That's excellent.
He did have early ice. He's slipping away. Only 0.11 of a second off the leader, Yoon Jung-won.
Still, he drops only 1 or 2 places. That's an improvement to start the season for him. They got a brand new sled waiting for them when they get to Winterberg, which is the race in Europe, the first race in Europe. 9th best time of the run. Falls 8 places. Wow.
Well,
5th best start to date.
Third fastest, third out of the start shed.
They're going to
flattered them a little in the first heat.
Well, they're going to be looking forward to that new Eurotech design, which they tested up in Lillehammer in October. And a few adjustments they had to make. It's back in the shop. And, look at the aerodynamics back there. Boy, you can see a lot of shoulders, 2 and 3.
But they all cascade nicely down from the driver to the tail. Well, slips a little down the order. Third last with 10 to go. Yoon Jung-won is our race leader here in Park City, Utah. Into the top 10, and here's last night's race winner. In fact, the man who's won the last 2 4-man races on this track, because he won the second of the double headers 2 years ago when we were here. Nico Walter with Kevin Kuska, Christian Poser and Eric Franke. And Kevin Kuska in for Marco Hubenbecker, who was on the winning sled 2 years ago. So hi Hubi back home watching, I'm sure.
485, first run. Kuska, the most celebrated bobsled athlete in the field with, ooh, that's a little nose change of direction there, 45 again. Kuska won the Olympic gold medal here with Andre Lange in 2002. He won 2 more Olympic gold medals in 2006 with Lange. Finished off his career, well, he finished off with Lange with a gold and silver in Vancouver. He's still competing, and he's still a beast. His teammate, Posner, while his wife, Jamie Grubel-Posner for the United States, won the women's race last night. 1200s, this could go out. He was electric in the second run yesterday.
Listen to how crunchy the ice is. Very different sound from this FES sled to anything else that we hear.
Should be enough. Should be right
900ths of a second. He'll be in the lead by 800ths. He held the speed at the bottom of the track.
Which
and that's
he did
what
yesterday.
We saw last night. It was really good at the bottom of the track.
Look at the size of Kuska. He's only 6'4", 255 pounds.
I wonder how many
about
more.
36 years old. Still runs like a deer.
How many more drivers is Kuska going to see off in his career? He breaks them all and goes on to a new one.
And the nicest person you're ever going to meet. And look at this. This is pretty good. Look at the runners. See, he's checking the runners. It wasn't a bad take on to Wasatch. We've seen a lot of violent
bit of a late
takeover here. This is at a 13 to 14 in the Olympic curve. Look at the climb. That means he's got to come back down. He's got to go back up. Tough to negotiate it when you're going a second faster than you were last night.
Yeah. Nico Walter, last night's winner, is the race leader. Nick Polignato finished 6th last night, a career high in 4-man. 9th after the first heat. Can he and the boys hold their place? Maybe move up the order. This is very, very tight. 500's faster than Nico Walter, 100 behind Lamin Dean. That's the 8, 9, 10 battle after the first heat. The voice of Lyndon Rush at the back, the last Canadian to win in 4-man on this track.
Great result for him last night then.
Top 6. All 3 Canadian sleds in the top 6, 2 on the podium. That was a big night for Canadian bobsled.
Didn't have the great results in 4-man last year, but didn't have the start like this. Canadians, ooh, there's a little skid into 4. Canadians, all 3 teams are proficient at the start. Polignato coming off a great 2-man season last year, where he finished 4th in the Olympic test and top 5 at the World Championships, which surprised a lot of people. Sloppy there.
Yep, little rattly in the left of the racing line, but still only 100th behind. This is going to be very close. Finished 5 spots behind Nico Walter yesterday. He is 500ths of a second behind him. Can he find something? I don't think so, not compared to Walter to the line. Ooh, 1700ths out. That's how much quicker the FES sled is at the bottom.
Well, that was a sloppy drive by the Bishop's University football player. But still a great weekend for him. Him and his Canadian teammates will walk out of here very positive. 6th place last night, probably a 7th, 8th, or 9th tonight.
Yeah, there may well be a few more that stumble over their bootlaces.
This didn't help. Look at the back end.
Yeah, 2 to 3.
This is when the speeds are slow, 40 to 45. You enter at 45, you come out at 55, and if you don't accelerate or get out of that curve with good speeds because you make mistakes like you did.
Best race result last year, 11th in the 4-man. He was 6th last night. He'll be no worse than 11th tonight. Lamin Dean, 3rd after the first heat yesterday evening in this British 4-man named Nixon after Nash and Dixon.
Look at the size of Toby Olubi right here on the left, and he's another 6'4", maybe about 250.
Yep. Ben Simons on the left of your shot, Semtex, and Andy Matthews in for Joel Fear on the back handles.
Now watch the way the guys in the back come off the block, and the driver, they all want to hit their position at the same time. This is the cohesion you need in a 4-man bobsled start.
The sprinter stance from Andy Matthews here.
Pretty good coming out of the blocks. 45 in the first one. Get in, get down, guys. Don't have a little mishap at the start. That's clean. 42, much better start. Now the British switched teams. Last night, Lamin Dean had the #1 team, which is with Brad Hall leading the race coming up.
Well, with 7 sleds to go, that's actually the 3rd fastest start we've seen.
So the British,
good getaway.
They've got 2 great 4-man start teams. British have some great athletes in their program, and for what the British program's been through, all you can do is hope for some great results. The great athleticism in the British program, top to bottom.
Still clinging on, 300s ahead of Nico Walter in this new sled, 500s ahead of Nico Walter, and he's going to need all of that to hang on at the bottom.
Right to the 100th here, either way.
How close is this going to get? Is it Walter or Dean?
Yes!
Dean pulls away.
Wow, there's a scout.
48.0. That is the fastest run of the second heat so far. Lee Johnson with a big smile there.
They're going to love this. Come on, guys, celebrate.
Good boy. Well, there's the new sled. Nixon does it second time out. Holds their position ahead of last night's race winner.
British sleds, 2 sleds in the top 10, most likely. Maybe a medal.
Looks as though it's possible.
Great try for Lyman Dean.
Yep.
Had some issues with the second run. Last night he was in 3rd, had the 8th or 9th best time in the second run and fell. And he finished up in 8th. So he had the 3rd best time and then the 11th best time in the second run. Second run tonight, he delivered.
Chrome on the side of the sled marks out the Latvians. This is Oskars Melbardis, tied for 6th after the first heat. And 0.04 of a second, this tie ahead of Lamin Dean of Great Britain.
And now it gets close. The next 3 sleds separated by 300s. This guy had the 2nd best time of the final run last night. And the 2014 world champion with 3 huge men into the little bathtub and down. 478. Well, I saw some heads popping up there. Looks like they were settled in that sled. And Melbardis, after the 2015 World Championships, of course he won the 2014 silver medal in Sochi, the Latvians' first ever Olympic medal in bobsled, but he had back surgery summer 2015. He was not 100% last year. And I bet you he's still not 100% yet.
No, and Damon Struskins, his #1 brakeman, had the same issues, back surgery.
But this looks like he's on point, but it's down to 7. Remember the FES Berlin sled? But Nico Walter was quick down here. This could be another one.
Well, this is a Eurotech sled. Will it hold the lead?
No!
By 100th! Okay, come on. There's Toby Alubi, the tall man with his back to you.
British program, those athletes are so deserving of these results. Melbardis, it's okay, he's buying his time. They're thinking about February. He's got an older, experienced crew there.
Yep, just got to get fit and fast.
Yeah. I'll put a bet down. I bet you he's right there in Korea. Look at that skid. That's up there. And the Wasatch Curve, that sled, the bottom sled looked airborne, then he climbed so high. Look at the way that metallic reflection on
getting
the curve.
in sideways, the sled's trying to steer right, the track's going left. Well, Melbardis was in a 2-way tie with last night's silver medalist, Justin Cripps. Cripps came 10th to 2nd, and he's in this tight battle. Lamin Dean in 8th was a 10th off 3rd placed Chris Spring. So this is all really tight, and potentially all of these sleds might snatch a medal.
Lamin Dean's team went 300s better at the start. Melbardis went a little bit better to start, tied to start. So Cripps and these guys, 484, they're going to have to go 481, 482 to make a statement here.
Well, he needs the wild ride he had last night to
44.
take that silver medal.
Yeah, he hit everything in sight. Got to the bottom with the fastest time of the run.
But it didn't seem to make any difference.
This looks too smooth to be fast for him.
With Lascelles Brown, a medal winner on this track in 4-man with Pierre Luders, with Justin Cripps.
It's right to the 100th right now. But Cripps was flying on the bottom. Those are excellent lines at the Wasatch.
200s.
84 miles an hour.
Hanging on, he was 400s ahead of the Brits after the first heat. The gap's down to 100th of a second, but he did have speed here.
Not any speed
in the
red.
exit. Can he snatch it at the line, or will he be behind? He is behind. He is in 3rd place. 500s behind the Brits. He's in 3rd.
Looked like down around 11, 12, 13. A rough transition off the exit, the high-speed part of the track. He was with the red-green numbers all the way down.
And the Brits in the leaders box now are doing what Cripps and his team were last night, celebrating as they climb the ladder.
Whoa. Bobsledding at its best on this Park City track. I love the way things are so close. Watch the transition here. Look at the heads. You get in there too early. This was great. This line here was as good as you get. Into the Wasatch curve, so it's hard to figure out where he lost his time there.
5 to go. Lamindine of Great Britain leads here in Park City, Utah. A tie for 4th place between world champion Hannes Lochner and, world champion Francesco Friedrich. Martin Haven and John Morgan at the climax of a fascinating weekend of racing here. Double 2-man, a double 4-man action here. Nico Walter won last night. Francesco Friedrich and this man Johannes Lochner were sort of nowhere.
Mark Rademacher is the new guy to the crew. So the Germans know that they got a 480 in the first run. They might have to get into the 70s. 80. Well, nothing wrong with being exact.
Well, that means he has 900s in hand over Lamindine, the current leader.
Now watch him climb curve 5 and 6. They've had a lot of problems, these Wallner sleds. 1400s. Right here. The problem's coming up right here. Right there. That looks much better. No skid there between 6 and 7. Not bad there. Accelerating now. It's because he had the transition between 6 and 7, which Friedrich coming up has had problems there. Both heats last night and in the first heat tonight, his teammate. Lochner found the right line. He's going to be the leader. The question is, how going to run? 47.84.
Wow. Pushes the British team out of the lead. They will be no worse than 6th, and I make that, 4th place in Lake Placid last season in Lamindine's best ever 4-man World Cup result. But a top 6 finish after 8th place last night, that's going in the right direction. Johannes Lochner, though, with the lead of the race.
5, 6, 7. He finally got through there. This here, look at it, he doesn't tap coming in, gets a nice line, and then through the labyrinths into this straightaway, Albert's Alley of the Wasatch.
Ruined his race runners in training when they went up the concrete outrun. Different conditions last night, different runners, and then different conditions again tonight.
That was his best of the 4 runs in the last 2 nights.
The first time we've seen him smile.
Yeah.
And that felt good to him. Johannes Lochner leads with 4 to go. Francesco Friedrich and Johannes Lochner were tied to the 100 at the end of 4 runs in the 4-man World Championship in Koenigsegg in February. They were joint world champions. They're tied here after the first heat.
Jonas Becker is the replacement for Candy Bauer, who's here not competing. Who's the 4-man World Championship team, 478. Let's see how quiet he is here. The entry into 3-4, not bad. And again, his albatross has been 6-7 coming up. Next 2 curves, 400s. Now watch the way he enters here, the climb there, no skid there. Both German sleds much better in the pivotal part of the track for them here in Park City. That's a skid. He's down to 100s.
Tied for the lead with Francesco Friedrich. Now he's slipped slightly behind Johannes Lochner. Friedrich in with just a few hundreds in it. Can he find it at the bottom? They're both in Valner sleds. It doesn't come back to him. And he is in 2nd spot. So 48 dead, but it's not enough to get in front of Johannes Lochner.
I think one of these German sleds is going to sneak into the medals.
Lamindine, 48 dead, the same as Francesco Friedrich.
Look how the disappointment in the Thorsten Marcus here on the right side of your screen. Yeah. This is Friedrich. Friedrich, who's just lit the place up the last 3 years. 3 consecutive world championships in 2-man. Got the double last year, but this skid right here, not like his teammate. Look at the...
Well, there is Friedrich.
There's Marcus, the best decathlete in the field, 7,800 plus point decathlete.
Bronze last night for Chris Spring of Canada, behind teammate Justin Cripps and winner Nico Walter. They've both gone. Cripps is in the bronze medal position after the first of our 2 heats tonight.
Let's see the strategy here. They have the second best start, 477. I know that they're thinking they have to match it or get better. Last night they went 476 in the second run.
Well, Cripps knows it's down to him. He was only 300s ahead of Johannes Lochner, Spring rather.
Lumsden, Kopak, and Smith.
This is their #1 start crew.
Well, they can't run too far. Get down.
Shea Smith on the back, the new boy this year, looks like he's a veteran. 478.
A little bit, 478. So let's watch for the quiet steering here. Ooh, he got on that take a little too early. You saw the bounce. See if that costs him.
500s ahead of Johannes Lochner as he sat down. Is he still in the green? He is by 200s.
Speed.
Knows the track better.
Big skid there, 7 to 8.
Yeah, that's going to put him in the red.
Numbers.
And another skid and a tap. It's all
back.
Going away.
Curve 2 to 3.
Now can he find it?
Now he's going to fall. He's going to fall 3-4 places here. Both German sleds are going to move up.
German 1-2 remains as he goes third ahead of Lamindine. Yeah, third at the line. 48.07. So Francesco Friedrich, Johannes Lochner are both in the top 2 with 2 to go. Both saw Lochner and his team celebrate. They'll be in the medals in the opening weekend of the season.
Mistake up at 2 to 3. Got on the take on to 3 too early. That affected his acceleration. Right here, look at the way that sled bounces. See the heads come up there, both a little too quick. That's quiet steering up there. A little impatient getting on the take on. Then down here, watch the climb. This wrong side of the take on to come over to this big Wasatch curve where all the pressure is. Good weekend, Springer.
Yeah, 2 top 6 results will be good for him. 2 to go. Johannes Lochner and Francesco Friedrich, the world champions, are first and second. Cody Basque could have another big day here. Won the second 2-man race on his home track in Lake Placid a week ago, with Nate Webber, Carlo Valdez and Sam McGuffey behind him.
This is the time for Cody Basque to make a statement, grow up. He's got all the experience, and he's been showing it here early in the season. Biggest heat of his life. So 482, everybody else matching or getting better. Can't overrun this.
And they get nice load, 480.
Let's see if he gets through curve 3 with quiet steering. He did not have a good run in the first heat. There's very quiet. Ooh, we heard a little tap though.
600s ahead from the first heat.
8, that's a good sign there to get through those speed points without losing time.
Looking neat so far. Good transition.
That's not bad. 6 though, starting to lose time back.
Little tap
right there.
Wasatch. This is going to come down to the last couple of corners. 300ths of a second. He must be perfect now to hold the lead.
Nitrate 2, he's in the red numbers.
Can he find it at the bottom, or is Lochner going to lead?
Second medal though, first ever medal. Still, Cody Basque is growing it up right there. Last year he had a lot of problems making cuts. His father Craig standing right over to the right. There's his father Craig right in the center.
4th place in Lake Placid last year, his best 4-man result. As you said, he only made the cut on 4 other occasions in the season.
Congratulations to his team to deliver him that extra 100 that he needed to get into the position. He only finished a 10th ahead, but hey, he lost to the world champion by 500ths of a second. Cody Basque's first ever 4-man medal. This kid from Whitehall, New York.
Well, if you think he was feeling pressure, what about the pressure now for this man? Brad Hall, first of 24 sleds out of the shed 2 hours ago. He's now last of 20. He's never led a World Cup race in his life. And I cannot find the last time Great Britain won a 4-man bobsleigh race at the senior level. Brad Hall, Bruce Tasker, Joel Fearon and Greg Cackett.
How can you not root for him? They went off first, 480 start. Don't do anything different here. Get in, get down, clean entry. 479. So this team delivered the goods.
Well, they know every 100th counts when you're up against the world champion in four-man.
He needs to get this out to 10 or 1200s here.
2400s was the lead
there
as he sat
down.
It's
that's
still
an unbelievable amount of time.
This is his first round advantage.
That's not good.
Plus the start.
14.
Tap.
Ooh.
This is going to be
right
very close. He's still got a chance. Clean here.
Don't like that number.
400ths of a second. Brad Hall shooting for his first ever World Cup win. Can he take victory away from the Germans?
He has a medal.
He has a medal. He's in
Great
third.
medal.
Lochner wins, which should be no surprise. Cody Basque takes his first four-man medal. Brad Hall with the bronze takes his first, and the first since that man, Lee Johnson. Did he ever take a World Cup medal? I'm not sure.
Don't think he did. Fifth of the World Championships.
There's Lamondine first to go and congratulate him.
Congratulations to the British athletes who've endured so much in the last 2 or 3 months.
Both
funding
in the
problem.
top 6.
Great for the athlete, and they are great athletes in this British program.
I've been following this sport every year this century. I can't tell you that I've ever seen 2 British sleds in the top half dozen of a World Cup race. Oh, now I can start to breathe again. That's just a fantastic result for Lamondine, who almost had a shot at a medal last night. And for Brad Hall, he'll be disappointed. First in the first heat, he drops into the bronze. Johannes Lochner moves up to win it. But for the Brits to be in the top 6 is great for them. For Johannes Lochner, beaten handsomely by Nico Walter last night, he takes his revenge. And he is our second different winner of the season.
Mark, the 2 weeks of racing we've had, can it get any more exciting and diverse and people that are winning medals?
Well, I don't know, because we've got the Olympic Games at the end of the year. My feeling is, yes, it probably will.
There's so many teams that can win medals.
And the other thing is, we're going to Whistler next week. It's going to be mental. Oh. Johannes Lochner, the winner, by 500ths from Cody Basque, by 1200ths from Brad Hall. Francesco Frigid in 4th, ahead of Chris Spring and Lamondine. Last night's race winner, Justin Cripps, in 8th position. Oh boy, what a day here. What a weekend here in Park City. Fantastic action in all 5 categories. Well, John has hightailed it downstairs to get some interviews with our winners for the multilateral broadcast, but you'll have to forgive me for a moment or two, because as a British fan and somebody who's been among and around the British team for a long while, it's a very big night for them, a very, very big night for them. Thrilled to be able to have covered it, and fans back home watching on the BBC, this might be the start of something really strong. The British have got very good starts. Misha McNeil in the women's bobsleigh is also going strong at the start of the season. So Johannes Lochner and his crew, well, they were always going to be in the mix, weren't they? The 4-man world champions. Lochner won 3 races last year, bronze in the season opener in Whistler, then winner in Altenburg, Winterberg and Koenigsee, and the joint 4-man world champion also in Koenigsee. And the Bavarian running on his second favourite set of runners, and you think that might not make a difference. We'll try and give Lewis Hamilton the second best set of tyres for qualifying and see what happens to his Mercedes and see what happens to his demeanour. Johannes Lochner took it on the chin, learned how to drive again on this different set of runners yesterday and again today in very different track conditions. So congratulations to him. Hansi wins it. Cody Basque, huge day for him. First ever World Cup medal, silver medal. Huge day for Brad Hall, first ever World Cup medal in the bronze position. Well, there's Torsten Margis with a little bit of a smile on his face at least. Francesco Frigid in 4th and only 400ths behind Brad Hall. Almost got a medal, but the British youngster denied them. Park City, Utah, after 2 races here in the 4-man World Cup. Johannes Lochner is the World Cup points leader from Chris Spring and Cody Basque. Nico Walter lying in 4th place, last night's winner. Great Britain's Lamin Dean, 8th in the World Cup standings. As we go on to page 2, Brad Hall, the younger of the 2 British pilots, inside the top 12 after finishing in 3rd position here tonight. Disappointing night for Rico Page and Baird Hefty. They failed to make the cut here. Justin Olsen creeping slowly up the order just behind Maxim Anjanov of Russia. Well, it was a good run from Francesco Frugic. 2300ths off the lead in the first heat with Chris Spring, Cody Basque and Brad Hall in front of him. He had a really good second run, as quick as almost anybody else. And in the end, it was enough to put him up to the top of the pile as he claims victory. 2 German wins here in Park City. The 2002 Winter Olympic venue was also conquered in 4-man by a German, Andre Lange. But 3 different nations on the podium. Cody Basque with the beard on the left in 2nd, and Brad Hall at the back there in 3rd place. Big sigh of relief there from Greg Cackett. Gregory. Yak it up, says John Morgan. Celebrate. There's Johannes Lochner and his crew. Cody Basque and his team in 2nd place. Nate Webber, Carlo Valdez with the Zapata mustache, and Sam McGuffey. And Brad Hall, tall fellow at the back with the tash and the beard, that's Bruce Tasker. Joel Fearon on the left, Greg Cackett on the right-hand side. Astrid Wolf handing out the flowers. Well, congratulations. Another win for Hansi Lochner and his crew, but 2 World Cup first medals for Cody Basque and Brad Hall. Fantastic weekend of racing, and heads up to the TV crew for being out in all weathers, bringing us wonderful pictures, and to the track crew as well. How we got 5 races done in 2 days given the weather, Lord only knows. Well done everyone. Join us a week from now in Whistler, British Columbia, the fastest track on the planet, as we continue the BMW IBSF World Cup Tour.